twin needles or double needles. This is a needle that will be separated by a distance that's always written on the package. So this one says 2.5 or 2.5 millimeters. Before I do anything, I want to come over to the Topaz, go into the set menu, and turn twin needle on. Touch it, and then tell the machine what size of twin needle you are using. That way, it'll actually make sure you don't overstep your boundaries and break your needle, and then it will even show you the stitch you've selected and how it's going to look when sewed double with this exact size. So what you see is what you get, and you're going to find that even some of these stitches that are utility stitches, like what you're seeing here, here we go. And then definitely down into the fun stitches where you can see how they're going to look side by side when stitched out with this type of setup. So let's talk about how we thread it up. Let's go ahead, and you do want to remove any thread that you have in the machine. Notice I clip it and pull it out the needle. That way I don't drag any lint that has been gathered up at my needle back up into my tension disc. Just a good little habit you can get into. Really saves your machine some issues later. Flat side to the back, just like a normal needle. Tighten it up. A lot of times, I mean, we're talking decorative stitches, but this can be used to kind of simulate that cover stitch that you see on garment hems, the 2 rows of stitching. It'll have a nice stretch to it without you having to do anything extra. So let's just go back to regular seam. Notice I can use the sewing advisor at any time and just touch the little technique number 1. Now, the reason I took the thread out of the machine first is because as I add the second one and get both of these in my hand, we're going to go ahead and thread this over the silver arm just like normal, under this just like normal, but right here we're going to notice that little fin inside. That is a separation for your 2 threads. So I'm putting 1 thread on one side of the fin and 1 thread on the other side. That means that both these threads are going to get their own tension disc. Now when you're threading your machine regular, it does not matter which side of that little fin that you go on. Now the needle threader does not work with a twin needle, so you're kind of on your own, or pick up one of those little handheld needle threaders. They come with the Viking Surgers. Those are wonderful. Just ask your Husqvarna Viking dealer for a handheld needle threader, and I'll just push it right on through. I love those. I just don't have one with me today, but the eyes are working well this morning. And does not matter too which needle goes in or which thread goes in which needle. Once we get started though, I'm going to just kind of make sure as I start off, I'm going to just take my time. And then that way I can make sure that everything sounds good. You got double trouble going here. We got 2 rows of stitching, 2 threads, 1 bobbin. Speaking of the bobbin, oh, and you can use your selective thread cutter. That will work just fine with a twin needle in here. But what does your bobbin look like? It's going to look like a double, well, it's going to have a little zigzag to the back because the bobbin thread is catching both needles, so it's zigzagging every time it takes a stitch. So as we start to sew, and I think my speed's a little low. I'm going to bring that back up from a previous video here. But let's just go into our zigzag. And even just some of these fun stitches here, and you can just pick a stitch. It won't matter what you pick because it will automatically narrow down the width. So if we go into the eye for information and we go to make it wider, it's going to stop at 4.5. Well, 4.5 plus our 2.5 twin needle is 7. So your max, that's why you're maxed out. So you can go ahead and make it any width you want. It will make sure you don't overstep your boundaries. So how about something fun with the decorative stitches? I'm going to just randomly pick, how about some of our E stitches? And I don't want something too thick. Oh, well, why not? Oh, they're all fun. You get started with this and you just want to go for it. Again, everything's been limited to the length. Now some stitches are not going to probably look great, some of these really heavy stitches here, because they're just going to be so much thread piled on top of each other, but give them a try anyway and see how that you like them. You never know, because even too, changing up the combination of your thread choice is going to look totally different every time you do it. Put a variegated thread in and 1 solid color. It'll look amazing. Look what we've just started, a whole new stitch with a double needle there, and really seeing a neat option. People will be amazed. All of a sudden your decorative stitches have turned into a whole nother look. So while you're stitching out your decorative stitches, start back again, put a twin needle in, and then stitch them out again. And I bet you're going to find some cool stitches that weren't as cool the first time you stitched them.